I've been thinking a lot lately about my addiction to my phone, about my addiction to social media. Like a lot of you guys out there probably spend a lot more, too much time on your phone. In recent months, because of this whole marathon thing, so big up my fucking Random Show little project thing going on at the moment. If you're not subscribed to the Random Show, make sure you check that out. You can find a link to the Random Show channel, which is my, kind of more comedy-based entertainment news kind of live stream show that I do on YouTube. You can find it at Random Show AZ, I think, all one word on YouTube, or you can find it if you go to my Taz channel. You should see my link channel at the top there. Click it, subscribe, all that good shit. Since I've been doing that, and I've been trying to do a marathon stream where I do it for fucking 31 days straight to try and get my memberships up on the Taz channel. It's also kind of giving me perspective on how much I do to my phone, because I don't really have a lot of time to be on my phone, because I'm kind of thinking of ideas for the show, topics I want to kind of talk about and shit. And it's kind of giving a bit of pause. And obviously doing the show consistently for so many days in a row, you kind of not on your phone as much, and you kind of realize how much work you get done when you focus on the work and you're not on your phone. And I've also realized in recent months I've tried reading again, because I was part of my New Year's Eve kind of on my New Year's resolution to read more books and shit. As I did previously, I used to get through kind of 5 books a month. Now I'm finding it incredibly hard to read. This was me, again, pre-COVID, or maybe even a couple of years ago. I was getting through 5 books, sometimes a minimum of 4 books a month, reading them cover to cover, making notes, understanding it, like not just reading it for the reading sake, like really absorbing the information that I was fucking reading, or the stories I was reading, whatever it may be. But now, because I spent so much time on my phone in those times I kind of got lazy and sort of let things go by the by, I've realized it's a lot harder now to focus and read. But in recent months, where I've been focusing on streaming every single day and not being on my phone as much, I've also noticed that I'm kind of slowly but surely getting back to that place where I'm starting to read a lot more and be a lot more attentive to my things. But I was thinking in general, maybe my life would be improved tremendously, exponentially if I didn't have a smartphone. And I was actually thinking the other day, because everyone's doing this thing now where all the kids are using digital cameras, which I love, by the way, because I think they're mostly doing it for an aesthetic thing, because the pictures you get from a digital camera, especially ones from like the 2000s, maybe ones maximum of like 12 megapixels, you get these really nice flash pictures that you kind of know from like, Cobra Snake type of era, Bloghouse era type of things, and they make for a really good picture, especially if you're into that whole Y2K aesthetic. But one of the great things about having a digital camera, similar to myself when I have my film camera, is that it's an actual camera, so you don't have to use your phone, so you don't have to always kind of whatever. And when I go to raves, I also go to raves where predominantly the promoters or the clubs cover your phone camera lens, and I find that when you're in a club with a phone without a camera lens on, you usually don't use it as much. I'm not gonna wow, sorry about that. Anyone that's been to Berghain will know and attest to it. Like, one of the things that you notice when you go Berghain, I think it's something that people probably don't put a lot of credence on, but I think it contributes to your experience and why it's such a great club. Because they make such an effort to cover your phone, and because it's such a protracted effort to try and get in, and the whole queuing thing and looking a certain way, when you finally get in, the last thing that you want to do is being on your phone. You want to actually enjoy and live in the moment. You want to fucking absorb every type of experience, right? You want to be as present as you can. You don't want to be on your phone. There are some people that do, but for the majority, I think most people are just there to kind of experience that experience of being on the dance floor at this fucking world famous club. So I think it does something to you. So I think if I was to get hold of a phone that didn't have a camera, or didn't have a great camera, or had a separate camera to take my pictures, and had a phone that had essentially like a basic music player, and maybe a calendar or something, that would be what you would need. You wouldn't need anything else. And I think this phone, courtesy of Lightphone, there's Lightphone 3, might be something that I might be considering in the future, because I'm already thinking, I was thinking the other day, maybe I should go on eBay, maybe I should go on fucking Vinted and see if somebody's selling like an old iPod. Because I was legitimately thinking I might want to start using an iPod again, because there's people that sell adapters, Bluetooth adapters for iPods and shit, so you connect Bluetooth headphones to. It's not the best connection, don't get me wrong. Maybe still use wired headphones, but I've seen people use that, and that might be also good because it allows you to take a break from your fucking phone. And if I'm being honest, I think I was listening to music way more deeply and intently than I am now. Now you listen to music passively because you're browsing your feed, you're answering DMs, you're on your fucking messaging apps, WhatsApp, iMessage. So I might actually look into this because this looks like a fucking great idea. Big up the strategist. The Light Phone 3 solved all of my screen time problems. This is an article courtesy of the strategist. I've tried everything short of hypnosis to spend less time on my phone. Grayscale mode, app limits, leaving it in a different room like it's a cursed object, but inevitably I get sucked into a content black hole and end the day thinking about all the better ways I could have spent my time. So I opted to try something more drastic. I made the minimalist Light Phone 3 my primary phone for 2 weeks. Since then, I've cut my daily screen time down from an average of 5 hours to 3. Now, I've personally not been the type of person that's on the whole, oh, put your phone in another room. I believe you need to kind of build up some level of like willpower or discipline. So when it's me and I'm trying to not use my phone as much and focus on working, I just won't touch my phone. I just won't use my phone. I just have it on the table, or no, I won't use like certain apps. Like I'm not going to go on social media. I won't open my messaging apps and sit. I don't have my notifications turned on anyway, so I'm not instantly kind of going to it. But I usually just like resist going on the feed, resist opening apps, resist opening fucking DMs and shit. It's quite simple. But obviously it requires a lot of training and willpower. I think that's a far better way than putting your phone in another room. I think that's a bit of a wasting. It's almost similar to the whole blocking thing. I'd never blocked anyone because like it's not that deep. I don't want to talk to you. I just want to talk to you. I just won't type in your profile. I'm not going to check you. I mean, you just don't exist in my brain. But I'm not going to go for the route of like, it's just like, that feels like you're way too invested or you still care going to the way of blocking. Maybe it's a bit different for women because they get harassed and bothered by dudes or whatever. But I think in general, I'd much rather be more disciplined or just be in the lane of like, hey, you don't even exist to me. That's why I'm not gonna go out of my way to kind of, you know, type your fucking username, click on your fucking profile, scroll down to, it's just too much options. So big up this phone. It continues. It's somewhere between a smartphone and a dumb phone. The Light Phone's design is jarring at first. It's shorter and thicker than an iPhone with a matte e-reader-like display. It's a type of OLED, so it's actually more responsive than e-ink. That's completely uninteresting in anything of your For You page. When you go to the home screen, you're greeted with a black and white text-based list of all the phone apps. There's no app store. It's not a very long list because the phone is designed to offer most functionality it can without creating any distractions that keep us glued to our smartphones. Almost all of the apps available for the Light Phone come pre-installed, and when you first set it up, there's a phone app for making calls, sending messages, a note and a calendars app, plus an app for camera, alarms, podcasts, and music, and navigation. Personally, for me, I think there's too many already. If it was me, I would just have an app for pods, an app for music, a calendar, and messaging. That's it. Or maps. The rest of it, I would leave out. Even a camera, I'd leave out. It doesn't need a camera. That's what I'd personally do. But hey, maybe I'm different. There's also a shortcut to enable a phone's hotspot mode, also accessible through settings. Some of the apps have to be enabled and can be managed through the Light Phone's web-based dashboard, which you can access only from a tablet, laptop, or smartphone browser. But most of them come pre-installed. That may sound tedious, but the friction is the philosophy behind it. And I love this because I think, I'm just thinking now, you have to rate people, especially writers. Big up the writers out there. Maybe I'm going to be dabbling in that sometime in the future. Watch this space. But big up the writers out there. You have to really admire people who write books, fiction, non-fiction, who are able to do so without a ghostwriter. Because it must be so difficult in this era to actually sit down and type up words. That's probably why people love Substacks and shit and whatever. Because it takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of self-discipline, a lot of fucking willpower to sit at your desk and type for a fucking, you know, whatever, you know, unspecified amount of time until you fucking hit your fucking word count limit without touching your phone, without browsing your feed, without quickly checking your DMs, without this, without that. It must be so difficult to do. But I guess phones like this can kind of help you along the way. Maybe it's a phone for the writers out there, for the workers out there. The left side of the phone has a dial, sort of like a digital crown for the Apple Watch, that you can press to turn the device's flashlight and rotate to adjust the phone's display brightness. It's more convenient than tapping any phone's lock screen to enable the flashlight. On the right side, there are also 2 buttons to adjust the volume, as well as the camera and home buttons. When you open up the camera or phone, you'll see the first and only time the phone's display actively is called has color. So that's fucking great, by the way. I love the tactile buttons. It almost reminds me of this push now I've been seeing with car design, especially car interior design. A lot of companies out there are now starting to offer cars that have, like, you know, tactile physical buttons for your air conditioning, maybe even a fucking wind up, you know, mechanism for the fucking window, and not having it all electric, because that actually feels better than actually having everything based on the screen. Obviously the screen thing they do in cars is mostly to save money, especially companies like Tesla. They have that one big tablet, not because it looks cool and because it's the most functional thing ever, but because it saves money if you don't have to actually, you know, make other bits and bobs on the dashboard to operate other things in the car. It all gets controlled in that fucking touchscreen. But, you know, when it comes to phones, you kind of would like to have a camera button. You kind of would love to have like a little scroller you can kind of adjust the brightness. You kind of want these tactile buttons to kind of give you that feel, and also to not make you dependent on picking up the phone and looking at the screen. You can just kind of fiddle around with the side of the buttons and kind of get what needs to be done there. Continue. Say goodbye to the idle browsing and doom scrolling. When I carry my iPhone with me, sorry, every idle moment is an invitation for stimulation. Reading an article, checking DMs, I'll probably still forget to answer, scrolling TikTok until my eyes hurt, but that isn't possible with a light phone. I can take a photo and text it to a friend via SMS. It doesn't have RCS support, but I can't share it to social media. I can listen to music, but only if I've downloaded it locally and then uploaded it to my phone ahead of time, which I love, by the way. That used to be my routine. Remember, big up everybody that remembers the Apple, what was it the app called? It's called the Music Now. I think was it called iTunes? I forgot what it was called, but the app before Music Now. But I remember that process of like quickly downloading a fucking album, usually through a torrent, ripping it and putting it on your fucking iPod, making sure it was all kind of synced properly, making sure the formatting was correct, removing the fucking URL thing on the fucking album name, making sure everything was labeled the right way, and then syncing it to your fucking iPod and having it available so you can listen to it on your commute to work. Such a good time. Such a good time. Additionally, I can subscribe to podcasts only from the Light phone's web dashboard on my computer. Again, which I love. As I carry the Light phone in place of any iPhone, As I carried the Light phone in place of my iPhone, I often felt the urge to reach for my phone and give my mind something to latch onto, only to face a wall of text links on the phone's limited apps. The Light phone had no interesting in saving me from my boredom. That was sort of the point. Talking about boredom, I've something that I kind of would like to share with people. If you're somebody like myself who likes to go out a lot and likes to go, especially solo raving and stuff, and you find it difficult to make friends, one of the key hacks you can do if you like to go out by yourself a lot is to resist the urge to be on your phone when you're outside by yourself. I've noticed when I did it, when I was very kind of disciplined, where I'd go to a club and I wouldn't take out my phone until I spoke to somebody or until whatever, a certain point in the night, I noticed that I had way more actual interactions with strangers and ended up having some good interactions that led to maybe friendships and shit, whatever else it may be, or follows on social media. But I think you're gonna be way more open to people to have a conversation if they can see that you're open and you're not having your head down. The head down thing, having a phone in you creates a bit of a barrier. But if you're out and about and got your head up, you're looking around, you're smiling at people, you're admiring the fucking ambience, you're enjoying the beats, you're dancing, you're having a good time, and you're not on your phone, I've noticed that can kind of, in some respects, encourage more conversation with people. Really, really do. Especially in a packed dance floor. Especially in a packed fucking dance floor. So if you want a hack to try and make more friends in the club, don't take out your phone. Try and, order a drink and wait at the bar without touching your phone. Try and stand at the side of the club and watch the DJ play or admire the dancers around you without touching your phone. Try and go to the toilet, before you do a bump, and don't take out your phone in the toilet queue. All those things can really help you have good, random, spontaneous interactions with people. I think so. It continues. For instance, my iPhone is my go-to camera, and I often end up posting snapshots of my day on my Instagram story. I can't do that on the Light phone, so instead I've taken to sending photos to my sister or close friend when I feel like sharing a nice moment. The image quality isn't nearly as good as you'd get on an iPhone or a Galaxy or a Pixel device. It looks more like an old Polaroid, imperfect, nostalgic, and more private. I like that. But I also have enjoyed the process, because technically a lot of times when I go out or when I go abroad especially, I don't like to like live post that I'm somewhere, mostly for an op spec safety sort of issue, just to make sure nobody's kind of aware of where I am at any given time, so they can't kind of, you know, whatever, rob me and shit. But it's also kind of just to enjoy your experience and not kind of have it live through social, you know, just to kind of enjoy it in the moment as you're actually there. But I do enjoy sharing the pictures after. You know, I'm not against that. So I think that's why digital cameras, or I've got like 35mm cameras, right? Like actual point and shoots, right? Like the ones I have over here, like this Olympus AF10XB, really fucking good camera. I bought some film for it actually the other day when I was in Madrid actually. So big up this fucking camera. Actually having an actual point and shoot camera, like a digital camera or like a 35mm camera, whatever, is really important. Because you can take some great pictures with these. The quality is really cool. Even if you can't take great pictures, it kind of makes great shit pictures look good. Especially nowadays where everyone's kind of into the nostalgic fucking, pre-digital fucking pictures and shit. And then you can share them after the fact. And then you can kind of relive those moments again, you know? I really think this is the best way to go about doing things, personally. But hey, what do I know? Recently moved to a new city, and I still can't get around without some navigational help. I typically rely on my Apple Maps, but since neither that nor Google Maps is available on the Light phone, I've been relying on the company's own apps, own Maps app. Sorry, it works. You can get driving, walking, and transit directions, but it's extremely limited. It has a turn-by-turn directions and voice navigation, but no cycling directions, and it doesn't have the same real-time traffic updates of Apple, Google Maps, or Waze. I used it both in my car when walking to a bar to meet up with a friend. In both cases, I managed to get my destination and estimate time without any trouble. If you want to find a restaurant, bar, or coffee shop to check out, you can't do so in the Maps app. Instead, you have to go to a Light phone separate directory app. It's a fine app, but I wish it were directly within the apps for a tidier experience. So I guess that's why maybe you should probably get an iPhone, right? Or one of those iPod. I don't know if they still sell them. But I remember Apple used to sell like it was like their updated version of an iPod, which is essentially just an iPhone without the phone feature. So maybe that's a good way to kind of get around it. Maybe there's also maybe something to be said for finding out the places that you want to go to ahead of time, right? Making a list of them, printing them out on some paper or some shit, and then trying to find them when you get there via the app they already have, the maps. That's kind of part of the fun. I kind of like using my map and maybe getting lost when you're away somewhere. The only thing I don't like is when people go out their way to try and figure out the city they're in and not use the apps, and you end up getting lost and you end up going to weird places that you shouldn't be in, and you know what I mean? It's just annoying. If you can use the apps and get where you need to get them. But I also don't mind maybe using, pre-planning your trip and figuring out, okay, cool, here's the 5 restaurants I want to go to. In most metropolitan cities, the restaurants, the galleries, the whatever else you want to go to, they're usually in the areas where other cool shit is. So if you go to the gallery, you know, by happenstance, by coincidence, you probably walk by or bump into a cool place to eat, a cool place to shop, blah, 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 blah. So maybe you don't actually need to have like precise directions or real-time, you know, kind of access to information of places to go. Maybe having that list and then picking 1 or 2 places, because that's what happens anyway. Holidays, you have this fucking mammoth Bible-sized list of these places you want to visit when you go on vacation, and you end up going to 2 or 3, if not only 1. So maybe having all that endless options in your hand isn't really worth it in the first place. So maybe they're onto something here. There have been things I've missed though. I can't access my Spotify playlist. There's no to-do list on the app, and I don't want to be fair, you don't need a to-do list. You can do that on paper. And I don't have any way to check the news or listen to my audiobooks from Libro FM without doing my funky DRM removal on another device. I also can't use my kickboxing gym app to sign up for classes, send voice notes to friends, or do a quick web query to settle a debate at the bar. Mostly that's a good thing. I can check the news when I'm at my desk. I switched to paper-based task systems, and I'm accepting that not every debate needs to be settled on the spot. Exactly. I personally detest the person who's so quick to pull out their phone to prove that what they said was right or what you said was wrong. Like, sometimes the fun in hanging out with people IRL is that most people chat shit. That's legitimately fun. Most people chat shit. So it's kind of fun to sit there and just experience this person chatting shit and you actually contributing to the chatting of shit too, instead of somebody pulling out a phone. Yo, big up
phones this way there on us sometimes. My algorithm gets so burnt it makes me put it down for a few hours and come back hoping something interesting came up.
I don't know. I don't know why my notification on Taz is set this way. I don't know why my notification on Taz is set to Spanish. But regardless, I appreciate you. Whoever you are, thank you for that. I need to try and figure out what the fuck that message was even anyway. It doesn't come up. I don't see it on my fucking I don't see your message on my dashboard for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I direct you to the wrong place, but for some reason I can't even see it on my dashboard. But big up the person that sent that. I appreciate you. You're a fucking legend. I fucking appreciate you. Oh, was it you, Tentos? Was it you? Was it you, Tentos? Big up Tentos if that was you. I appreciate you. Unfortunately, I don't know what it was, what it said, but appreciate the dono, my friend. Appreciate the dono. Let's continue. It does have some limitations, but those are the points. I found those setbacks to be beneficial, but eventually I hit a brick wall. What's it? I hit a brick wall in my pursuit of ditching my smartphone. I review a lot of gadgets, and many of them require me to use an accompanying app to test out all of their features. While doing fresh round of testing for our robot vacuums guide, I had to run back to upstairs and grab my iPhone to set up each robot, so as there's no way to do so with the light phone. I got to do this by keeping my iPhone in airplane mode. Most people aren't testing robot vacuums for a living, but chances are you'll have a few apps that keep your life stitched together. Maybe it's your work schedule or your company uses a proprietary app like a Google Calendar. Maybe it's your kid's school portal. The light phone won't let you access those things. If it's necessary, you'll need to keep the laptop or tablet nearby. Hotspots features keep your phone connected to a short period of time if you can't get past limitations. By the way, I think limitations are good. I think maybe most of us, some of us, all of us, maybe need more separation. Maybe most of us should actually have separation and maybe have, especially when it comes to work. Like, I don't agree with places in workplaces that require you to download Teams or Slack on your phone. Yes, it can be handy if you're ill and you need to quickly text somebody at work. You don't have their number and you can post an update on your fucking work Slack channel and shit. But I personally think if you are ill and something like that's happened, you're far better off taking your laptop to a coffee shop, connecting it to your fucking phone, and then posting on the fucking Slack. I don't agree with downloading apps that you use for work on your personal mobile phone. If they give you a phone at work, that's a completely different thing. If they give you a phone for you to use your Teams shit with, fair. But I think in general, you shouldn't be required to do so. I think it's really unfair that they do require people to do that so in the first place. So I don't like that. Me personally, I do not fucking like that. So I actually don't mind that this phone has those limitations. But it does truly work at $700. God damn, it's not cheap, is it? At $700, this phone isn't an impulsive buy. It's a commitment, a lifestyle. It takes a bit of pre-planning to figure out what you're going to listen to on your next outing, and you won't have access to any work-related apps you might need, like Slack or Google Docs, to give your smartphone conveniences. I replaced mine with a notebook, a camera, and an e-reader. The light phone becomes a powerful tool in regaining your time and attention. I don't pick up my light phone as often as I used to pick up my iPhone, but when I do, it's with intention. Exactly. That's what I want. That's what I'd want. Like, I would honestly, if I had a light phone, I would just keep all my social media apps on my iPhone and then use my light phone for day-to-day thing. And then when I wanted to use my little social media dopamine hit for the hour, like, you know, discipline yourself to maybe using social media for an hour at the end of your day or unwinding and shit, then you pick up your phone. That's what I would do personally. But any emergencies, any contact people need, if they need to call you directly, they can call you on a light phone. They can text you on your light phone. But in terms of social media stuff, feed stuff, internet browsing, doom scrolling, have your iPhone there that you use for 1 hour per day. That's what I would personally do. But again, what do I know? To finish this, there's actually a video I quickly wanted to check out of these guys called DHRME. And they basically had 1 day using the phone. The title of the video is Light Phone Free versus Dumb Phone Day 1. So let's hear what these two guys have to say about using the Light Phone Free IRL. and how it kind of compared to a dumb smartphone. Let's see what they say.
So the challenge we've set ourselves, guys, is that we're going to try at least a week with a dumbified phone.
That's day one.
This is day one. So modern smartphones have become this like dopamine slot machine, right? And it's becoming a problem. People are having a hard time to focus and to concentrate, basically get control over the device instead of the device controlling them.
I must say, we're DHRME, dudes having rhythm and musical expertise, but we are looking at a couple of solutions today to the problem you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Let's start with yours.
Yeah. So that's what you see right here, the Lite Phone 3. First time we're using one of their products. First off, hardware. Beautiful device. When this came in, I was like, wow, that's a nice slab of phone.
Yeah.
But a compact, small.
Nice and blocky.
Right?
Can stand on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it because it's got this odd format, but it's still in a way very satisfying to look at, to use. It's got that grill on the front. You like that. You meet it.
I kind of don't mind the look of it. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of looks like a speaker. It kind of looks like that other AI phone, the orange one, the TaskRabbit thing. But I quite like the design of it. I'm not gonna lie. I quite like the design of it. It's kind of a weird shape, so it's not really meant to be maybe held like a phone for a long period of times. It's more like a cubey, blocky. It's more like a cubey rectangle than an actual rectangle type of thing. So it's not really built for scrolling. But I quite like it. I'm not gonna lie.
Immediately, you were like, "Hey!"
Because my HTC days are coming back to me.
Yeah.
HTC One M6, I think. I'm not sure of the model number, but oh man, so pretty.
And the screen, it has an OLED screen, by the way.
Yeah.
It has this matte finish, which reminds me of my MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
It has that anti-glare screen, so very cool.
Yo, big up on 10 Toes. Love my local disco for enforcing the no phones rule. They had to tell my girl to put it away this weekend, and all P could do is haha. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of clubs need it. I don't really, again, I'm not for the whole rules thing. There's too many rules now in clubbing. I feel like every fucking club, every fucking promoter has a fucking code of conduct that almost kind of makes you feel like a fucking child when you're going raving. But I do think once it's enforced and you go to these type of places and then you compare them to places that don't really give a fuck, you see the difference and you see why they're important. Because, just the mere fact of somebody covering your phone lens, in my experience, drastically reduces the time that you're on your phone. Which is weird because I don't really record stuff. I'm not really a big recorder of clips in clubs. I find it quite, waste of time. I'm not really ever going to watch them back again. I do enjoy watching other people's, but I don't really do it myself. So I do find that weird that I sometimes will automatically not grab my phone just because the camera's not there. But it does improve stuff. I think a lot of people kind of have noticed it. So big up on 10 Toes. Big up Josie too. Sounds like you need an iPod with the messaging. Does that exist? Yeah, I think that does. I think that's what I mentioned. I think Apple used to, I don't know if they do sell them anymore, but they did, as like a evolution of the iPod, Apple did have these like iPhone like phones that just didn't have a SIM card in it. So it basically has the ability to connect with your fucking... No, sorry. It didn't have a messaging or phone app. It has a SIM card because obviously if you need to download it via the fucking Apple Music. But regardless, I think it started off as being a phone that didn't have a SIM card and just had a music player and obviously the ability to browse and a Safari browser and shit. But that obviously didn't really take off. But I much prefer the iPod design anyway. An iPod with a fucking click wheel that was a really standalone fucking music player. And I'm sure there are people now, I'm pretty sure I saw somebody hack an iPod and have it run fucking Spotify. And I'm assuming maybe attach some sort of Bluetooth dongle so you can kind of, listen to stuff via streaming and shit. But I'm pretty sure I saw somebody do
Has a couple of buttons around. So up top, you have a power button. So very much iPhone, 5, 4, those models. It does double as a fingerprint scanner, but that one's not enabled yet. So that has to be released still. There's a little scroll wheel on the left side. I thought, cool, I could do like volume controls and stuff. No, it's for the brightness of the screen.
I love that. I'm not gonna lie. I love that. That looks ergonomic. That looks aesthetically pleasing. It kind of fits directly in your hand. I love that little flywheel. I love that little wheel that kind of adjusts the brightness. That's a very clever design there.
And if you click it, you can turn on the flash, that kind of stuff. They are going to allow people to change that function in the future. So that's coming. And then on the right side, you have three smaller buttons. One of them, the one that's furthest out, is the camera. button actually. So it's used, to open the camera, as well as it's a shutter button. And then the two smaller buttons are volume, up and down, and the middle one is what they call a menu button. So it just basically takes you to the menu. USB Type-C, pretty standard.
Wireless charging?
Don't think so. No, because it's metal back. I think.
Right.
And it would not actually fit into the whole concept of life being, buy something for life. It's a tool, but don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also got a replaceable battery actually at the back.
All right, with the nice industrial screw design.
Right. That's the hardware a little bit. In terms of how you use it and you set it up, it's interesting. So you actually need a laptop or a computer because you need to go to their dashboard. And then over there, you can add different apps. But none of these apps are there's no Play Store. It's just a set of apps. You can choose to show some of them or you can choose to remove some of them. I just put everything there and try it out. And that's how you do everything. You configure stuff from there. So podcasts, for example, there's no app where you can just search for podcasts and add them from the phone. You have to do that from the dashboard and then it gets synced over.
Again, I think that's better too because I've got a bunch of podcasts I'm subscribed to that I don't even listen to, but I don't know how to unsubscribe myself or can't bother to do it. So I do prefer that you have to manually add the podcast you want to subscribe to on the desktop browser, then it syncs over to your phone because then you're only able to podcast you actually listen to, which is usually a very small portion to the ones I'm subscribed to overall.
That sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you get in the box?
You get the phone, you get a SIM card removal tool, and a braided USB Type-C to Type-C cable.
Keeping it basic.
Keeping it basic. Oh, and a nice metal case where the phone sits in. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Very camping vibe.
And what's the price of this in Europe actually?
So I think we only have the dollar price because it's only available from the US for now.
Yeah.
But it's $5.99 for pre-orders, but it is $7.99 is the original price. Yeah.
That's
It ain't cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
It ain't cheap for a bare bones phone.
I wanted to do that on purpose, making it really expensive so that if you bought it, you would actually use it like a light phone. You would actually be implored or be encouraged to tether yourself away from a smartphone. I wonder if that's the reason. Because $700 is a lot of money, isn't it? It's a lot of fucking money. But big up the light phone. Big up the blood clot light phone. Great to hear. Great to see. Great to hear. Great to see.